Welcome back to the garage. Today we find ourselves with the Jeep in its natural habitat, the garage, with the hood up because it really hasn't been running very well lately. Kind of like its owner. But off camera I've been working on the carburetor. Now that is a brand new production Joe's Motor Pool Carter WO with 136 miles on it plus some idle time. So it really shouldn't have any problems, but here we are. So off camera, I took it off, took it apart, cleaned out all the passages and such, put it back together. It totally didn't take me 3 tries to get it all back together without it leaking gas all over the place from that one plug on the bottom. But the carburetor side is actually working pretty well now. It will run, it'll idle, it'll leave the garage and go around the block again. So that's sorted out. I'm still kind of mystified as to how it got that junky on the inside, being new, though it did kind of sit a little bit over the winter, but it's had only ethanol-free gas for the most part, so I was kind of surprised at that. But now I have new problems to deal with. Go figure. Problems on a vintage Jeep. Who'd have thought? So, it looks like the gasket between the 2 manifolds has failed already. 136 miles plus some idle time. So I'm not happy about that because, I mean, you guys were there. I had the engine out, I had it all cleaned up and freshened up, and I was doing everything as well as I could from the start so I wouldn't have to go in there and take it all apart again. But here we are. So it was a little bit of a challenge to fit that Omix exhaust manifold to the original intake manifold, but it did go together. The flange surface was fine, and that gasket is working great. It hadn't leaked. I'm just really surprised it was the one on the inside. But it's leaking on the inside facing the exhaust runners, so exhaust gas is just going straight up the side of the carburetor, so the side of the carb was all sooty. And I guess come to think of it, if I didn't have the air horn on the top of the carburetor sealed up well enough, it could have just been taking in sooty exhaust gases for a while now, and that's what gummed it up. That actually makes some sense. But regardless, one way or another, I have to get the manifolds off and go through there again and figure that out. So it becomes a slippery slope, as these projects do. While I've got the manifold off, this would be a perfect time to do a valve adjustment. I did not think to do a valve adjustment while I had the engine out of the car, but I can do that while I've got the manifolds off. But also, while I'm there, the oil pump is clocked 180 degrees out. I know this because the distributor, which is also a new production Joe's Motor Pool Autolite, the oiler is hanging down instead of up. It's not properly oiling as it should. I did put a bunch of oil in there to get it good and set up for the start, I guess. And you're supposed to oil them every 1,000 miles or so, I believe. But I need to get that right. So I'll have to fiddle with the timing afterwards and get that sorted out. But I think that's all doable. So I guess let's just jump into it, because that's going to be an all-day project most likely. Well, here we are again. Fenders off like old times. I did find out that in my haste to go on a first drive, I forgot to put more than 1 bolt on the grill. So that's probably part of the reason it's been so rattly on the front end. You know, aside from the way that it is. Carb's off, exhaust is off, some of the nuts are off, and the rest of the fun ones to get out of here, so here we go. All right, that should be loose. There we go. Well, looks like I might have had just a little bit of an exhaust leak over here. Sure is a bunch of crustiness on these brand new exhaust studs. Ah, well, this is what we were after. Well, it's been a long time since we've sat down at the workbench to figure something out. Looks like the exhaust gasket on the bottom was leaking as well. Not terribly, but it was there. Fortunately, being as scatterbrained as I am, I have double ordered several things, including a gasket set. So while I'm here, I'll probably swap out all the gaskets instead of just the one that's leaking, the two that are leaking, the three that are leaking. The surface here is held up pretty well. It's, I don't know, maybe interesting to note how poorly the port matching is on this manifold. I'd love to get in here with a carbide grinder and take some of that out, but what's the point? I don't think it'll net me that much improvement. All right, let's see what we got. Whew. Very much leaking over here, and here, and here. Thought that surface was flatter than that. But yep, this entire section of the gasket has burned away. Ugh. So I've been doing just a little bit of checking on this off camera. Don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but I've got a machinist rule here. Check corner to corner, edge to edge. This thing is just flat, except for right here where it was leaking. It's got a little bit of rust on it. There's a 1.5 thou. Goes under 2. It's a bit tight with 2. And just in that one area. 3, not at all. If we look at what the gasket's trying to tell us, read the tea leaves here. Obviously it was leaking at this part where there's nothing but metal left. But it was sealed for the most part, except up here, but that's on the inside, not the outside. But yeah, it was leaking on this corner and on this side, except it was not escaping, because this side's pretty clean, this side's all burnt. But it's most certainly got a low spot on this corner. And if I do the same test with this machinist rule, it is mostly acceptably flat on the inside where it leaked. Is a 1.5 thou. 2 thousandths doesn't get under on this side, but over here it does. And 3 thou, not at all. Corner to corner, it's mostly level except for this low spot here. Corner to corner, mostly there. Middle's fine. On this end, it's got a little bit of a high spot in the middle, but I think that's because I've got gasket material still stuck to it here. I'll clean that and we'll try again. But it's definitely low on this corner here. This side is visibly, this is a hair under 1/2, and this side is, 3/8, easy. So the right thing to do would be to take both manifolds to a machine shop, have them skim this side just to get a good flat surface, and then have them mill this side a couple thou just to get a flatter surface. Don't do what I do, because what I'm going to do is dress these with a die grinder, And I'm gonna throw this other new gasket on and just make sure it wasn't beginner's bad luck or something like that. Yeah, you know, you and I both know that that's bullshit I'm telling myself. It's gonna probably leak here again and leak up here again, but I personally just kind of want this on the road and driving again. So I'm gonna do it the wrong way to get it going a little bit longer. And if I'm here a third time within the next 6 months, I'll do it the right way. We'll see. I lied. I couldn't do it. When I polished this side out and saw how many high spots there were around the edges in the middle, and especially this terrible machine work right there, I'm sure the reflection will get it. I couldn't do it. So I've been working on this with a sanding block, and I don't think this camera is going to let you see all the high spots and the low spots, but there's a lot, and this is coming down quite a bit, and it's closer. It's still high here, but it is better than it was. So time to hit it with 100 grit, some more, and then try to polish that out, and maybe it'll be good enough. We'll see. I did some sanding on both manifolds. I think it's about as flat as I can make it this weekend. I've got these on there nice and loose so I can bolt this up to the block and it'll sit where it'll sit, and then I can tighten these up and hope. And it'll either work or it won't. We'll see in a few months. Now we come to scope creep part 1 for this video. As mentioned previously, I never did a valve adjustment on this engine when I had it out. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I eyeballed it and said, hey, that looks pretty good. And that was that. I don't know the history. I don't know when the last adjustment was. So this will be the first time of trying to get it right. Actually just had to pause and come back to this. Not sure where I left off, but I'm gonna follow the Rule of 9, Magic 9 procedure to adjust valves. Seth over at Red Eye Cafe Garage, or is it Red Eye Garage? I'm kind of confused on that, but I'll put a link to that in the description. He does a good tutorial on that, and that's what I'm going to follow. And we'll see how this turns out, and with any luck, I'll have adjusted valves. But there's no reason to subject you guys to listening to me talk through it, so cue the time lapse. Well, that was frustrating. I kept dropping the dang wrenches, and after a couple of rotations, gas started squirting everywhere. So yeah, that was fun. But after a few rotations, I think I've got every single one of these set with a 14 thousandths feeler gauge. All of them were tight. A couple of them were so tight that I couldn't get a 10 thousandths feeler gauge in there. I don't really know if, you know, how that is going to contribute to my issues here, but I'm hoping I did that right, and maybe this thing will run differently once it's started up. We'll see. Now, to make sure these are lined up as best they're gonna be, I'll go ahead and torque this thing to 29 foot-pounds in the correct sequence to the block with no gasket, just to make sure it's against a good flat reference surface. Now let's tighten down these manifold bolts. All right, that's all four tightened up. Now let's pull the manifold and get an actual gasket on there. New gasket's on. Let's reinstall this sucker. All right, let's do our first round of tightening. All right, round one of tightening. Let's start bringing it up to spec. Spec, I believe, was 29 to 35. We'll probably bring it to 29 and then do another round closer to 35. And for the second round, all right, manifold is torqued. Let's get this exhaust on. Again with a new gasket and much better prep than I did on the last round, I think. All right, exhaust is back on. And now I'm gonna call an audible and not mess with the oil pump at this time. Through some inexperience, I'm just not quite sure what I'm doing there. Someone on the internet said clock at 180 degrees so it'll work right. Other people have just said rotate the distributor body and then fix the wires. I thought I tried that last year, but it didn't work. I don't know. So pause button on that one, do that later. Well, it's a couple days later. I caused myself a delay through carelessness and inattention. I damaged my gasket for the carburetor and bent it too, so this wouldn't have sealed anything. So that's junk. But the new one's installed. Cables, fuel, everything's hooked back up. I need to fix one of the turn signal wires because I broke that while taking it apart. Let me put the fender back on real quick so I can have a place to lean while making sure all this works. And also while I was at it, I did check the gap on the spark plugs. A couple of them were not gapped properly. And I guess I just thought they were gapped out of the box, but I should have checked that and I won't make that mistake again. But let me get that fender on real quick and we'll see if it runs differently now. Well, you guys know how it is. There's nothing more permanent than temporary wiring patches that work. It's back together, no spare parts. So let's see if she'll fire up and see how it sounds. I'll probably have to watch for fuel leaks after all this, and it'll probably take a minute to start, but let's see how it'll behave today. Get some fuel in there, come on. Yeah, bowl is probably empty. Fired up and didn't leak so bad though. Too weak, dang it. This little thing has saved me quite a few times on this project. It's the little Duralast thing from AutoZone. Something? Anything? So close. Well, it doesn't want to stay running. Okay. Not hearing all that puttering means the gasket's not leaking. I dare say it sounds healthier. Except for that, which it was doing previously, so I don't know what to make of that. No change. Darn. Well, I'd hoped to end this one on a higher note, but I'm running out of daylight and I am out of ideas. I'm right back where I've started, come full circle. It sounds way better without all the exhaust leaks, plural, but it's still not running right, as you've heard. It'll idle down and then it'll sputter for a while. And I've done everything I know to do to fix that. I've had this Jeep for almost 4 years now, and it still has not gone off-road. I am not confident enough in it running well enough to go off-road yet. And that's kind of sad because this is Arkansas. There's so much stuff to do out there as far as trails go. Certainly stuff that this thing can more than handle. So the timing is right where it needs to be. A couple months back, I had that engine analyzer and a vacuum gauge, and I set it up pretty well, and it was running better then. So the timing's correct. The ignition timing's advanced to about right where it needs to be. The idle set screw there is right where it needs to be. The mixture screw, I've fiddled with that a lot. It's right where it needs to be because any more tight and it dies, any more loose and it dies. I've gone through that carb probably 3 times now. It wasn't clean on the inside before, but it very much is now. It's got fuel, it's got spark. Now we've added a valve adjustment and spark plug gap. I'm very much running out of things to check. So if you have any ideas, please leave them in the comments below. Leave a like on the video while you're at it if you would. Helps the channel grow. But yeah, I'll take constructive criticism, insults, pointing and laughing. Any input at this point, sanity checks, because I am out of ideas and I would very much like to take this thing on some trails this fall. So thanks for watching. Thanks in advance for any suggestions you might have. The light's telling me it's time to go inside, so thanks again, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.